All right, hey everyone, and good Monday evening. Welcome back to Weather for Weather Geeks. In these strange times, we don't want to stress you out about the weather if we don't have to. Our weather remains pretty benign, although we had kind of a gloomy Monday today. But it is Severe Weather Awareness Week in the state of Ohio. So as we always do at this time of the year, we like to bring you some reminders, some helpful reminders, some tips when it comes to dealing with severe weather, as we no doubt will in the coming months. Now, chances are, if you're watching this video, you have a certain amount of weather savviness. So I don't want to necessarily slip into kind of a lecturing tone here on this video. The general public tends to kind of rely a little too much on myths and things that don't tend to be true. This video, the audience for this video tends to be people who are a little more savvy, a little more educated when it comes to certain subjects, including the weather. We call this Weather for Weather Geeks for a reason. That being said, I'm still going to talk about some of this stuff this week. And one of the things I like to talk about is myths, dispelling weather myths. And there's a lot of myths regarding severe weather and tornadoes. One of them is, hey, there's a threat of a tornado, crack the windows to quote unquote equalize the pressure between the indoors and the outdoors. That's that's one of those things I heard growing up, and there's just no truth to that. You're not doing anything other than just letting the wind come into your house and cause some problems. So don't do that. All right, another common myth when it comes to tornadoes is, hey, they don't come here, whether it be if you live on a hill or on the other side of a hill, or you live near a river, or even if you live in a city. There is a very common myth that tornadoes don't go through cities, and that's just not the case at all. And there's just a lot more square footage in rural areas than in cities, and so therefore more tornadoes happen to occur in rural areas just because there's a lot more outlying areas than there are cities across the U.S. Another one of these tornado myths that is fairly common is that you should go to the southwest corner of your home. There's really no direction that you should or should not go in. Just go to your basement. If you don't have a basement, the most interior room, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You don't want to be near any windows. Flying glass is a big problem when it comes to severe weather and tornadoes. All right, I'll get on my siren soapbox briefly here. We'll try to make it brief. The siren mentality remains, even in 2020, a big-time problem when it comes to communicating weather threats in our business. People are still kind of stuck in this 1950s mentality of sirens are the be-all end-all. If I don't hear a siren, I'm fine. If I do hear a siren, oh, that means that there's definitely a tornado coming. Neither of those things are the case. Do not rely on sirens alone. They're not meant to be heard indoors. That's the number one thing that we want to try to get across. If you're indoors and you don't hear a siren, that's the way it's supposed to be. Tornado sirens are designated for outdoor use only. Different municipalities set them off via different criteria. Sometimes we'll hear about sirens going off when there's not a tornado warning in that municipality. It's very frustrating. We, of course, are in a polygon-based system now when it comes to severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and so only parts of counties get under those kinds of warnings a lot of times, but sometimes other parts of the county that are not under the warnings set off their sirens anyway. And these things can only usually be heard within 1 or 2 miles of their location, weather depending. So sirens are not great. We have many more ways of getting reliable weather information, including here in 2020, most of us have a smartphone that we're always lugging around. Even if you don't have a smartphone, weather radios and even the good old-fashioned television can be better than relying on a siren that you're not supposed to hear indoors. All right, time lapse today, yuck. Just a gloomy Monday across the valley, and the drizzle lingered into this afternoon. It is fading away this evening, but it certainly looked and felt like a Monday, and kind of was appropriate for a lot of people's moods, having quarantined themselves now for several days, and today it looked gloomy when you looked outdoors. It was much better over the weekend at times when we did have some sunshine to at least brighten our spirits, especially on Sunday. Rainfall totals pretty modest over the last 24 hours, really nothing to write home about, and again, the mist and drizzle is fading away this evening, leaving us with just clouds. As expected, it was a wintry day in parts of New England today. Heavy snow across especially the mountainous areas, the Green and White Mountains, the Berkshires, the Adirondacks. This was a big deal up in parts of New England where lots of real estate is covered under winter weather advisories and even some winter storm warnings. It's going to be a better day here tomorrow as high pressure pays us a visit. We'll get off to a cloudy start, but the afternoon I think will be better. It'll be a seasonable day with highs in the lower 50s. That's pretty much par for the course at this time of the year. This little fast-moving system scoots by on Tuesday night late and into Wednesday morning, and I think some of us will get wet at least through the first couple of hours of the day on Wednesday, especially south and east of Youngstown. You have higher rain chances the closer to Pittsburgh you are. I think that will clear us easily by the afternoon Wednesday, setting the stage for a better day on Thursday. We'll get into this warm sector, southerly wind, and I've got a high of 64 in the forecast for Thursday. Next front might produce a stray shower before Thursday is through. No big deal there. Showers back in the forecast for Friday and for Saturday, but it is going to warm up. I've got another 64 in our forecast for Saturday. I think temperatures will actually then fall on Sunday. We'll be in the 40s at the start of the day and probably end up closer to 40 degrees by the end of the day on Sunday, but that's really the lone truly chilly day in our 10-day outlook here. Back to average on Monday, and then probably back at least a few degrees above average as we head into the middle portions of next week. Quick look this evening at tonight's run of the European weeklies, showing temperature trends compared to average for the next 46 days. This actually even takes us all the way through early May. Every time I show you this, one caveat being, take any model with a big grain of salt when we get into the longer range, but it is interesting to look at what the models may be picking up on. And if you've been following this video for a while now, when I've been showing these maps, there's been some consistency here in the European modeling, showing some cooler than average temperatures, trying to lay some groundwork here, if you will, in parts of the month of April. So this is right in the middle of April, the week of the 15th, showing a pretty cool looking pattern. And normally I would say, hey, take this with a big grain of salt, but I put a little more stock in this because it has been shown now for several runs in a row. Now, we have seen fool's gold at times over the last several months where in the longer range models will try to show cold, and then as you get closer, the cold was a mirage. It just warms up. But due to the consistency, I put a little more stock in this idea that maybe April will be a month that's a little bit closer to average compared to the last several months, which, with the exception of November, of course, we've had a bunch of months now that have been way warmer than average. Maybe April will have a little bit of a different flavor. All right, that'll do it for me tonight. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. Stay safe out there, everyone, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday.